point of view of the movie industry. The movie industry, as we know it today, originated in the early 19th century through a series of technological developments, the creation of photography, the discovery of the illusion of motion by combining individual still images and the study of human and animal locomotion. A global outlook of the industry, the worldwide theatrical market had a box office of $42.2 billion in 2019. The top 3 continents and regions by box office gross were Asia Pacific with $17.8 billion, the US and Canada with $11.4 billion, and Europe, the Middle East and North Africa with $10.3 billion. As of 2019, the largest market by box office were, in decreasing order, the United States, China, Japan, South Korea, the United Kingdom, France, and India. As of 2019, the countries with the largest number of film productions were India, Nigeria, and the United States. In Europe, significant centers of movie production are Italy, France, Germany, Spain, and the United Kingdom. The question would be what the historical outlook of the 1920s, mostly employing the mobile cinema as a means of exhibition. The earliest feature film made in Nigeria in 1926 was Palava, produced by Godfrey Bacchus. Meanwhile, the emergence of the video film market in Nigeria is traced back to the 1980s when television production thrived. Jimmy Odumusu's Evil Encounter, a 1983 horror movie. But the beginning of the Nollywood industry. Many say it was an Igbo language production called Living in Bondage, produced by Ken Nnebu in 1992, ushered in the birth of Nollywood. Hollywood is a sobriquet that originally referred to the Nigerian film industry. The origin of the term dates back to the early 2000s, traced in an article in the New York Times. Today we'll x-ray the very fine details regarding Nollywood and its economic impact in Nigeria and in Africa. We'll talk about the possibilities around the industry, its ranking in global markets, how many movies are produced per day, what does it imply in terms of economic benefits, the employment level, and its contribution to the GDP of Nigeria. We'll also look at its association with other African industry, talking about African movie industry. My guest will join us from Port Harcourt anytime soon in a moment. I will get to x-ray the very fine details in the world of the movie industry. Don't go anywhere.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
Security,
education, health,
lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan.
My name is Blyden Okem. In Business 101 today, we're talking on the movie industry in Nigeria and its economic benefits. And my guest joins the show now. Stanfem Ajalaja is a movie producer, a filmmaker, and joining us all the way from Port Harcourt to talk on the topic. Stanfem, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you a
I'm
second
sorry I
time.
had to rush in. I'm in the middle of a shoot, but then this is very important, so I had to join in. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. We'll get to talk about the shoot you had and the importance of it looking forward. But let's start a conversation from this point of view. Recently, we saw the ninth edition of the African Magic Viewers' Choice Awards that took place at the Echo Hotels, and
All right.
different talents scattered all around, different shows from fashion and different attributes, winners in different categories. But looking at the history of the movie, what can we learn from the industry so far? What are the lessons to derive from the industry?
Um, every day we learn in the industry knowing that we are only getting better. That is me putting a whole lot.
Oh, we lost Mr. Stanford there. But we're looking at the opportunities in the industry regarding movie making and the movie industry in Nigeria, its economic benefit, and the stand-down activities that has happened. Recently, we've seen different outlook and different positioning in the industry and the intricacies of it, the development and the growth pattern. We've also analyzed employment levels, employment opportunities in the Nigerian movie industry, and not just employment opportunities, the ranking of the Nigerian movie industry among the rest in the world. We hear that Nigeria is ranked second in the world in terms of production after Bollywood, the Indian movie industry. But in terms of revenue, most of the countries, such as the US, they're doing quite well comparatively to the Nigerian movie industry. Stanford, good to have you back. Let's talk about this conversation. You were trying to talk about the opportunities in it and the lessons we've learned moving forward from the 90s till now amid the awards.
Yeah, first of all, I need to apologize for my network. Talking about lessons, right? I said I was trying to put it together like in few words, saying that our industry is still in the process of getting really, really better. And so far for me, I have learned a whole lot. You see, the first Nollywood filmmakers paved way for us. We are the fathers, our founding fathers, who paved this way for us. Now, technology has helped us, and we're trying to get better by the day. But then, right now, Nollywood is on a different level. So, for me, I the learning process is rapid right now, and one thing specifically that I can say that I've learned so far is that there is no limit to what we can do as creatives in the industry.
The very term creative speaks about unlimited positioning. It speaks about a different disposition. The word creative also speaks about potentials to do even more. Well, we get to talk about the potentials in all the sectors regarding all the players. Let's move to a key talking point, which would be how big the industry is. We've heard about, many people get to hear about the industry from different angles, beginning from the US, Hollywood.
All right.
And also the name Nollywood became a tandem, attributing Nigeria to Hollywood. We had Nollywood. But the conversation would be, how big is Nollywood so far? We've seen the progression. How big is the industry?
Nollywood is really big right now. Before this time, most people were making movies, but were not really making money, right? But now, Nollywood has moved from just a medium for most entertainers to a business medium. It's now a business where you can now graduate and get into it and make good money for yourself. Now, Nollywood has become a center of attraction these days because it is not business as usual. When I mean as usual, it's like not a place where you find uneducated people. It's not a place where you find people who are trying to have fun. Nollywood right now, it's a medium where you have people with PhD, people who are learning. You have lawyers, we have doctors, you have everybody in this medium trying to create something amazing. So far, I can tell you for sure that Nollywood has become a medium for most, like it's now a medium for people making real money, being honest to their business. It's a business ground now. That's what I would just say in total. Like this Nollywood right now, it's different. It's an entity where you have multiple next generation filmmakers. It has moved to a medium where you can say, yes, I built a house with my film. I built a house with the money from filmmaking. I did this, I did that. You could see us driving good cars and living well right now. So Nollywood, I can say, so not to take much of your time, I can say Nollywood is a ground for business right now.
Well, let's talk about the brand and the business. You said for the new generation, Nollywood is so big that they can depend on it. The question would be, what makes it different for this generation comparatively to the other generation that you refer to regarding the business of Nollywood? What has been the attraction? Because many would say there are many distractions in the industry right now. People are not movie-centered any longer. I mean, all the online skits, people are on a fast track. They do not have the time to sit down and follow a movie. The jobbing system is different. Online opportunities are making it different also. So what is attraction now where people are investing more into the Nollywood system?
Okay, you know, it's not just Nollywood. The world is moving really fast,
Yeah.
right? So our businesses are changing. And that's why I said it's a medium for business now. Now, there are skit makers. There are people who make proper films, right? But then they are all embodied in Nollywood, right? So this is what happens. Now, because we have the social media platforms paying right now, most people have diversified their attention into different things in the Nollywood business. But then we still have standard films. You know, people still go to Netflix, sit down and see a movie from A to Z, right? So what has changed these days? It's what has changed all over the world. It's technology. It is platform. It is social media. I can tell you for one that express ourselves. Now, technology brought mobile phones. So anyone can access these things now. So we have the SVOD platforms where you can now watch a movie from your phone. You may be traveling and you don't want to get bored, so you need to see a movie. So the changes are in connection with the emergence of technology. So we are just following trend, trying to also make movies, because in as much as you have a whole lot of skits, you have this and that, you still have good movies and they're undeniably good. So it's just technology changing stuff and people trying to meet up with standard, and that's all about the change.
All right. Wherever there's a standard and a growth path in all around the world globally, it also gets to reflect on the economy. So let's talk about the growth in the economy of Nigeria, the impact of Nollywood in Nigeria. What has been that impact economically? What has Nollywood brought to Nigeria?
Okay, I think virtually everyone in Nigeria will know that significantly Nollywood has made a whole lot of millionaires and even billionaires these days. Being that Nollywood has given a medium for employment. For instance, I'm a producer director,
Yeah.
right? Now, I've been able to employ over 20 staffs that are my constants, that are my staffs, right? Then I have contract staffs over 50 when I go out to make movies, right? Now you see that's a medium for employment for people that we Nollywood is creating employment. Now imagine 2,000 filmmakers like me in Nollywood. You can now understand the level of employment that Nollywood has given to all of the persons. See, before now, I can also tell you right now, which is very, very obvious. Do you know that the emergence of social media in connection with Nollywood, because people now know they can just go in and act and do some reasonable things, the rate of crime is being reduced. That's a significant fact.
Wow.
Now, also, you know about the thing they talk about ritual, young people going to ritual and the Yahoo Plus and all of that. Most people have moved their energy from those areas into creating content. Now you see, Nollywood is pushing this new generation into a direction because they now see that, oh fine, you can actually do this and make money. Yeah. So it is going into ritual. It was money they were looking for actually. It's not like they want to be bad people. Most of them is to say, right? Now, because they've seen that you can actually be doing something responsible and legitimate and still make money, and they just wanted to know how. Now that they know how, they've moved away. So I can tell you that Nollywood has been able to create employment and has been able to curb the level of crime and other vices, negative vices to say in the society.
Okay, let's have the conversation from revenue point of view and the future of it. We hear that Nollywood makes about, according to reports, makes about $600 million dollars in a year annually, and it makes a lot of sense from a revenue point of view. But it's still far off what's obtainable with Bollywood, which is India's filmmaking industry, as well as in the US Hollywood comparatively. But in terms of production outlook, data shows that Nigeria is the second largest in terms of production all around the world. And it takes us to the next conversation. Would be, should it be about quality or quantity? Because we're getting to a point where if you look at the ratings globally, yes, we're doing fine based on in terms of production contents that is coming out. But in terms of the quality compared to the big nations, talking about the US now, Bollywood, as well as, India, Bollywood, and the US Hollywood, are still farther behind.
Okay, thank you so much. Straight up, right? Because we are producing more movies. America produce not much movies, but quality movies.
Yeah.
Now, understand that when something is quality or as quality, it stand the test of time. It can stay there for 10, 15, 20 years. Now, quantity is everywhere and can fade off like with no time. So I would say individually, quality over quantity. And so by production, we went into film production as people who most of the time our situation pushed us to do these things, and we started because Nigerians are really creative people, so we try to be creative. We try to see these things on screen. We see a camera, we try to recreate these things, but most of the times we do it wrongly. So over time we're trying to feed our audience with our shabby films, permit me to say. So but now we have moved from that shabbiness to a different level. Not everybody, but we are moving. So we are now getting quality content out of Nigeria. Good content that the world can be proud of. You watched Anikulakbo. It's not done in English, but the world saw it. So we have good films from Nigeria right now. But then I will go back to the subject matter. Quality over quantity.
The talk about quality will always boil down to one conversation: funding. That would be it, because many would say, I didn't have enough money, that's why I can make this level of movie. I remember in 2014, Half of a Yellow Sun, an adaptation of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's novel that cost $9 million. That's a huge amount of money. Yes. The most expensive movie, Nigerian movies, in Netflix now, meaning that the quality is improving. But the question would be for you, being a filmmaker, what's a budget for a good film?
Okay, amazing. First of all, before you draw a budget for a good film, the budget comes from the story, right? So a budget for a film is highly dependent on the story that a person or group of persons are about to tell. Now, there is no fixed budget for a film because the story will determine what it will cost. But now, if your question is like, how much can we, okay, what's the average budget for a good film in Nigeria? Right?
That's the question.
Average budget. Now, as a filmmaker, I want to, because I'm not just a filmmaker, I'm a filmmaker who is a producer, who is a director, who is a cinematographer, who is an editor. Me alone has this 4 very important knowledge of filmmaking. It gives me an edge. It means that employing me alone cuts down drastically your cost of production. But let's split it. I'm going to move from the high-end films, right, to the medium and to the no-budget films, right, in Nigerian context, right. So let's say for a standard film in Nigeria, a standard drama in Nigeria, we're looking at 50 to 70, right? That's for one. The medium films, we're looking at 20 million naira, right? For an average movie, low budget, I would say. But now, for like the current no budget films now are like within the boundaries of 10 million. Let's say I will use myself as an example, right? If I have 10 million naira at hand, I can produce a film that another director or producer would produce for, let's say, 20 million or 25 million. This is the reason. I have a production studio. I have high-end equipment, Netflix approved equipment.
Okay.
Right? I have these gadgets all to myself, and I have a standard crew. So let's say we have this thing already and I want to produce. I don't have to pay for these things anymore. So I just use the money to employ the actors and pay for locations and welfare, and my movie is right here. Okay. Now, for a producer or a director who do not have all this to themselves, they are going to spend money. For instance, getting the equipment alone can cost you 10 million naira. Right? You have not started paying crew members. You see, now you see the difference, right? Yeah. So now there are producers who can use 10 million to produce a film. There are producers that cannot. It's all dependent on their experience. I'm an editor. If I am on set making movies, I only take the essential shots. I only take what is necessary. I am not a director who does not have the eye of the camera, who is going to take all the shots and say, let's go to post-production and put this one apart and put that apart. And for 2-3 weeks, I may be doing for maximum of maybe 8 days or 7 days or 10 days. So now that's why we do not have a fixed budget for a film. But then, like I said, 10 million, then we have this set of people who can just go out there and make a movie for 3 million, 2 million, 1 million. Oh, for TV, let me include TV to this, right? Okay. For TV, you can be looking at 3-4 million naira for a film because they are low. They are no budget films. I don't want to call them low, but because they are not in budget. Trust me. 4 million naira film.
When you say for TV,
go ahead.
When you say for TV, what exactly do you mean?
Okay, for TV, this is what I mean.
Soap operas or what?
Yes, what you produce for cinemas differs from what you produce for TVs. This is it. Now, the resolution. TVs can settle for 2K. Alright? Okay. TVs can settle for 2Ks. TVs can accommodate some level of actors. Right? But basically, TVs can also accommodate maybe static cinematography, but cinemas looks at detail. So if you want to light up a cinema movie, what it takes to light up that movie is expensive. But for TV, a lesser light, maybe 3 good lights or 4 good lights may pass for a TV film. So cost of production differ for cinema and for TV.
All right, that's quite clear. Let's look at one major player. When you look at film production, okay, you're talking about different players in the setup. We're talking about What is the average earning of a typical actor depending on the movie? You've talked about the budgets, which involve the cost of production. Many people look at actors and put flamboyant lifestyles, and they seem to be the ones on the light everyone is seeing on the screen, quite popular. But let's look at the typical earning of an average actor. What is it like?
Okay, I will be honest with you. Actors are making money. Actors make a whole lot of money. Let me use a narrative, right? An actor comes for you. You have a bargain with an actor, and he's charging you for just $1 million, right? And he's going to be on your set for 4 days or 3 days. He leaves your set to another set for 3 or 4 million naira, right? Another set for, let me use 1 million, right? For another set for 1 million. Before the month runs out, he is having, let's say, 6 million.
But to earn 1 million, maybe he ought to be a recognized actor, isn't it?
Yes.
So what about those young actors who are not big names in the industry? What's an average earning for them?
Now, is or our value. Check. Okay. What you pay an actor is directly proportional to the value they bring to your film. Right? And some actors are underpaid. Some actors are very amazing name out there, but they are underpaid.
So when you say value, not to interrupt you, when you say value, do you determine the value before value? Do you determine it before they come for the shooting?
Yes, we do. We do as producers before, when we are in pre-production level trying to get the film together, or like actors in our head, the actors we're looking at, right? So let's say we're looking at actor A and actor B, and the position they are going to play in the film is the value, right? Now, the individual value for the actor is who they are in the industry. Who they are in the industry is highly dependent on the kind of high-end firms they've been able to be part of and have given good names to. I don't know if you understand that. Because for an actor to be amazing and a producer want to call you for a film, you must have done something excellent for another film.
Okay.
So we value these actors based on their input in the industry. Like I said, there are actors that are paid high and actors that are paid low, depending on the individual. This is it. Like I told you earlier, I have mentioned that industry is no longer a place for illiterates. It's a ground for great businessmen. Some of these actors are businessmen and businesswomen. So when they come to your film, let's say an actor has like 500,000 followers on Instagram, okay, right? Mm-hmm. Another actor has 50,000 followers. We go to check your engagement, right? That means that if I want to put up a publicity, that actor will get me more people to see my film. That's value right there. So if we even pick you as an actor, you must have worked on yourself. Create value amongst yourself, or within or without people helping you, to make sure that you are good enough. You may not be like an A-list, but your followership, like I told you how the social media affects the industry, right? Your followership on social media, we know that it's going to help the publicity, because if we're going to spend like 11 million naira on publicity, and we have a contract that says that if we pay you 1 million naira, you're going to help in publicity, or maybe your goodwill, you're going to help to promote the film. During publicity, you've saved us money close to 500,000.
But it makes a lot of sense.
So that's how we value these actors.
All right, let's talk about another player in the industry. It will be script writers. Oftentimes, it seems to be that the foundation of earning from the movie industry is to be a script writer, give a good story.
Yes.
One question would be, can anybody just get in and start becoming a script writer because you can write? On the other hand, would be this. I love the smile that's coming from you. On the other hand, it would be this. How much does this cost in buying scripts? An average script. If I need to get an average script as a filmmaker, I know I can write. I'm looking for a motivation now. I have a decent script. How much would it cost?
Okay. Now, I have to mention this again for record purpose. In the industry, there is no fixed amount for anything.
Okay.
Except maybe for crew members.
But there are boundaries to
right?
it. There are boundaries
Yes.
to it.
I can tell you as a producer, anytime you want to afford me for a movie, I can tell you my fee as a producer is 5 million. And I'm telling myself, okay, like when I started, I told myself, okay, I'm going to kick off for like 250,000 naira as a director. The next year I said, no, I've gone beyond this level, it's going to be 500,000. The next year I said, no, I'm not doing 500, I'm going to do 1 million. Then 2 years ago, I told myself, no 2 million, I'm not doing this for anybody. So I continue to raise my fee depending on what I have done. My record. It's like a CV.
Okay.
Right? Now, this is it. For script writers, it's the same thing. I have paid script writer for 30,000. I have paid scriptwriter for 50,000. I've paid scriptwriter for 150,000. I've paid scriptwriter for 250,000, and I have paid scriptwriter for 1 million naira.
What was the difference?
For 500,000. I have paid differently for scripts.
What cost the difference?
The difference is this. Now, you know, the difference is mentally the capacity of the person to bring in dialogues that are unusual. See, when a writer brings it to the market, that's one thing.
I love the outline. They know the value they're bringing.
Yes, that's one thing, because the writers are the gods of the industry.
In other words, what you're saying is a writer can have a very good script, but doesn't understand the value of that script and doesn't get paid well.
Yes. As a matter of fact, a writer can have an amazing script and sell it for free.
Oh, okay.
Now, when you put business into prospects, this is what happens. A writer who is amazing can meet a producer like me who has a record, right? And say, I have this amazing script. Because first of all, before I look at your script, I have thousands of people telling me, oh no, I have this script, I'm a writer, I'm tired. Sometimes they can't even no cliffhangers to the films. It's tiring, right? But just in case a writer is able to convince me to say, oh, I have this amazing script, look at it. And I look at the script and it's actually amazing, right? Then the next thing I look at is this. Who is this person? Has this person written for a big screen before? Right? So me about to produce your script is me looking at what you give back to the script. Because in some level of the industry, who wrote this story comes to play. Right?
Okay.
Sometimes, some people may just look at the writer of the story and they are interested to see the movie. It's like that. Some people may just look at the writer and be like, ah. So, but basically, a good story is a good story.
Absolutely.
So, if you write professional and like this story is super amazing, you know what I do next? I'll call that writer. I invite the writer to the studio and I'll be like, yes, your story is actually good. I do that all the time. Your story is amazing. Now, this is it. We will not pay you XYZ, but we are going to make you a partner of the story. This is how you make money. This is me to a writer.
Okay.
Right? Look at it. This your story is good. Financially, I can say I can afford you for maybe 200,000, 500,000 because you don't have a name yet, right? And after the movie is done, we can allocate 3 to 5% to you. How about that? Some writers will be like, no, just give me the money.
Okay.
Right? Now, for a writer who is wise enough to say, shoot this story, the writer is futuristic, knowing that when the movie comes out, they are going to look for the writer and then he can make millions. So these are other factors that plays in us getting a script. You may have a good script, you don't have a name. And you may have a name and you have a bad script. So no fixed price for a writer.
All right, no fixed price for a writer. Well, we'll go on a short break. When we return, the conversation continues with Stanford Ajalaja regarding the movie industry in Nigeria, the economic benefits and the opportunities in it. We've been looking at the players in the industry, how they get to earn money, how this talk about employment works. When we return from the break, we'll be talking about government policies and how it affects the industry. We'll also get to x-ray other fine details like the marketing and promotion of movies. Don't go anywhere.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Welcome back. It's Business 101 and my name is Blyden Ukem. Having speaking with a movie producer, a filmmaker, in quotes, Stanfem Ajalaja. We've been talking about the major players in the economy regarding movie making in Nigeria and the propensity, because everything regarding production leads to marketing to make profit. Stanfem, good to have you back then. Let's get to talk about marketing and the opportunities in the industry. As a movie producer or filmmaker, how do you get to market your products? Because one thing is to invest all the money in it, put all the money in it, but on the other hand, you have to be able to sell your products, market it and sell it, and make profit from it. How do you do this?
Oh, thank you so much. That's like the most important part for me in filmmaking, because for you to stay valid, for you to sustain your craft, you need to be able to sell your films. Now, for you to be able to sell your films, you need to make sure that you try your best possible to get good films out there. It's really not easy, but now it is that the platform is open for everyone. As long as
you're representing the producers and filmmakers here. So when I say you, I mean filmmakers and producers.
Okay, so that again, a lot of persons sell their movies on different platforms. For me, what I do right now is I concentrate on making good films. As a matter of fact, from last year, I stopped some kind of films, some kind of movies. I didn't want to go below a particular level, so that selling these movies will be quick for us. Because the truth is that in the film industry, most people start, but they don't know how to finish. Starting is having the pre-production into your movies, to the production, to the post-production, but not being able to sell the film.
Okay.
Most people have become penny wise, pound foolish most times because they only know how to get a film done, but they don't know how to get a film done in a marketable way.
So how do we get to market this film? And he's going through these difficulties. How does he get to market his film and sell them and make profit?
Now, he can sell his movie to African Magic. That's terrestrial. He can sell his movie via the SVOD platforms. I'm talking about Amazon Prime.
Okay.
I'm talking about Netflix and others that buy movies. Then he can also sell these movies via the bringing forth. Now, what do you want with your film? Every producer, every film out there, you need to ask yourself, what do you want with your film? And that's yes and yes. is highly dependent on the quality of your film. Again, get these very scarce parts right. Sometimes, before producing that film, or sometimes the genre that you are presenting to them by your film. So you sell to maybe the SVOD platforms, right? Like my company has a partnership with UBC. You sell and you make money in dollars.
All right, Stan Fem. One last talking point.
Easy.
One last talking point.
That's how I
quickly. Let's look at
that again.
One last talking point before we end this show now.
All right.
Let's look at the challenges of policies and how it affects them.
The basic challenge that most filmmakers have.
We've been talking about movie production in Nigeria.
I'm not going to start with finance. I'm going to start with structure that is, for instance, most people have names to their film productions, but they don't know, right? They don't know about tracks. Producer, trust me, walai, I'm going to get this money back for you. That is market to be able to sell this content. These are the challenges most people think their challenge is fund to fund a film. That's a different perspective.
Thank you, Stan Firm Ajalaja, on this particular edition of Business 101. It was a wonderful time talking with you regarding the movie industry and its into the country and how this has impacted the African scene and the African industry, and get to talk about even further government policies regarding movie industry.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Here's where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Business 101, looking at the movie industry and the opportunity in it.